In this clip, I'm going to review Type Studio, a new text-based video editor you access via a web browser. Here's how the clip is going to be structured. What is text-based editing? Who is Type Studio aimed at? Type Studio workflow example. Transcription accuracy. Price structure. Pros, cons, and outro. Hello, my name's Carlos. I'm a producer, director, and content creator. I love filming, I love editing, I love video production in general. And if you're new here, my channel is all about creating better content. Whether that's equipment, technique, workflow, I just want to help you improve. So consider subscribing. For full disclosure, the guys at Type Studio reached out to me recently, having seen some of the clips that I've already put out where I looked at several companies that are using artificial intelligence to provide transcripts and subtitles for video clips. They asked if I would be interested in reviewing Type Studio, and I said, yeah, absolutely, no problem at all. So they've provided me with access to the service so I could take a look at it and come to some thoughts and conclusions. However, beyond providing the access to the service, they've had no input whatsoever with this video. The following thoughts are entirely my own. So I'm probably telling 99% of people watching this clip what they already know. But in the spirit of inclusivity, let's start with what we might call normal editing. Here we are in Adobe Premiere Pro, which is the non-linear editing software I typically use. And I have a sequence here that is made up of just one clip. But I want to approximate the sort of thing most people who would use Type Studio would be working with. So this is one clip filmed on my phone, addressing the camera directly, about 26 seconds long. And it consists of a couple of takes of the same thing. And I just want to remove sections, just leave the best bits and not the mistakes. So I know by looking at my audio waveforms on the timeline where I'm speaking. And because I've listened to this a few times already, I know I want to take the last take here at the end. So I'm going to mark an in and an out and ripple delete everything before that. So just done the setup for a little call. What we've got going on here. And also, after I finish speaking, do the same with what I don't want to hear at the end. And that's it done. As I say, completely normal, the most basic kind of editing. So just done the setup for a little corporate filming, which I've got on today. Let me walk you through what we've got going on here. Now let's look at the same clip, but this time I'm going to work with it within Type Studio. And I'll go through the process fully in a minute. But for now, I've simply uploaded the clip into my account and I don't have a sequence timeline visible like I would in a standard non-linear editor. Instead, I basically have the video clip on the right and a transcript of the video clip on the left. And to make my edits, to remove footage, I'm going to simply highlight the text I want to delete. And then I'm going to press this cut button. And that's executed the ripple delete. And I'll do the same at the end of the clip to remove the unwanted footage there. So just done the setup for a little corporate filming, which I've got on today. Let me walk you through what we've got going on here. And that is video editing using text. If you go to the Type Studio website, you can see a list of possible use cases. I'm not sure the list is entirely helpful, as it seems more like a list of use cases for video content in general, rather than reasons to use Type Studio in particular. In my view, I think the most natural fit for the kind of videos that work with this interface are pieces to camera, vlog style clips, one person delivering content from one self-contained video. Because the critical restriction with Type Studio is that you're only going to be editing one clip, not piecing together sections from different clips. The key advantage of Type Studio is that you don't need any editing software and don't need to know how to edit. Also, because the rendering takes place in the cloud, you don't need a particularly powerful computer to work with the footage. And you even have a hosting option available that can be shared, so you don't even have to download the edited clip. Everything is set to make the entire process as easy as possible. Very much aimed at people who have no experience of video editing, those that don't want to learn, or people who can't access video editing software. That would make up the vast majority of potential Type Studio users, I'd guess. However, there is another kind of user that could be attracted to Type Studio, and I'd put myself in this bracket. And that's people who are primarily interested in the transcription and subtitle generation that's available. These people can produce a fully edited clip using something like Premiere, but then upload it to Type Studio solely to generate a transcript and/or subtitle file. And the reason to do that is it saves a lot of time, because rather than typing things out manually, you're letting Type Studio's artificial intelligence take the strain. So let's walk through Type Studio. Having set up an account, and there is a free plan available, this is what you'll see when you log in. They do put in your workspace a little test project with footage, so you can immediately get a feel for the interface even if you don't have a clip to edit right now. I've just removed it to clean things up. Select the clip you want to edit. Note here the language drop-down list with US as English. There are several other languages available, but I can't offer any insight on those. I've just worked with English language clips. Upload the clip and wait for the processing to complete. This will depend on the length of the clip and possibly demand on their servers. This 26-second clip took less than 50 seconds to complete. And then there we have it. The clip has been uploaded, processed and transcribed, ready for editing. Again, I've chosen a clip of what I think is fairly representative of what most potential users would be bringing into Type Studio, a piece to camera talking head style clip. Let's name the project. Notice there are two modes to work in. Right now we're in video editing, and so changes we make will affect the actual video by removing sections. But we can flick into text correction if we want to amend the transcript. We'll look at that in a second. Let's play it through once so we get a feel for it. Right, we are literally in the shadow of Old Trafford. Hotel Football is the venue today. Got three contributors to get filmed here, bright and early. It's about 7:45 or so. We've got about an hour and a bit to set a room up. And it's a great room, actually. A lot of things going for it. Let's have a quick look what we're going to be working with today. Obviously, we need to tidy this up. We need to shorten it and get rid of the unwanted pauses and stumbles. These square blocks indicate video footage where there is no dialogue. So if I want to start the clip on the first word, I need to highlight those blocks and press cut. Now the transcript is adjusted accordingly. The ellipsis within the square bracket indicates footage has been removed. If you want to undo that deletion, just click on it. The video will play from wherever you insert the cursor to highlight text. Right, we are literally in the shadow of Old Trafford. Let's tidy up the rest of the clip. Working with that clip illustrates a limitation of this text-based interface. I didn't have the precision to remove exactly all the sections I wanted to, even though I know this would be possible if I were using standard editing software. But let's say I'm happy with this version now. I'll switch to text correction. That automatically activates the subtitles as well. The critical thing to understand about transcripts, whether they've been automatically generated, as in this case, or even manually transcribed, is that they will contain errors. You must assume that is the case, and we'll look at accuracy in the next section. So that means you should take the time to proofread and correct. This is not too bad. I'll make the appropriate changes, and notice that if I delete some of the transcript, it's marked with the underscore. This is just a reminder to you that you've removed text, and it won't show in the subtitles. So once that's done, you can go ahead and export the finished clip. That will render the video first, and after that you have a couple of choices. You can simply download the clip and then share as you like, or you can copy the link to the video which Type Studio is now hosting. You can then distribute the link as you wish. Within this interface, you can give the clip a title so viewers who see it here will have a bit of context. With regards to subtitles, you can choose to export the clip without them if you wish. This dialog box also gives you some styling options. I'm guessing the vast majority of clips that people would edit within Type Studio would be for social media, in which case it seems a no-brainer to opt to include subtitles. You've got to assume most people will come across the clip on first viewing on a phone with sound turned off. So subtitles are pretty much a must for these sort of clips. That's one way, perhaps the default way, to use Type Studio. But how about the option to use Type Studio just to generate subtitles for a fully edited clip? Let's have a look. And for this, I'm going to assume you know what an SRT file is and know how useful they can be in a subtitle generation workflow. If you don't, then why not take a look at the clip that's on screen right now where I explain things in full, plus take a look at Otter.ai and Descript, two companies who specialize in using artificial intelligence to automatically generate transcripts from either video or audio files. I'm back in Type Studio now and I've uploaded a complete edited video. This actually starts with the clip I used right at the beginning of this review, but I've added bits of other clips and the final duration of the sequence is over 4 minutes. I want to make use of the fact that the clip has been transcribed and export an SRT file which will automatically generate subtitles. The SRT is a plain text file and you can import it into Premiere or directly into YouTube as an attachment when you upload a video. At the time of review, to download an SRT, you need to have the Type Studio Pro license. We'll cover prices in a moment. Just looking at the transcript, I can see there are obvious mistakes, but I don't want to edit the text in Type Studio. I prefer to do that in Premiere. But if you wanted to, you could edit the transcript in here. Even though I'm not going to export the video from Type Studio, I only want the SRT file, it seems like you must activate the subtitles in Type Studio before you export the SRT. If you don't, the file will actually just be empty. I'm not sure why that is. Obviously the video has been transcribed and timed, so why would you want to export an empty file? Hopefully they'll fix this glitch. So I'm simply going to hit the Export Text button and then opt to download SRT. Now I've stepped into Premiere and have imported the SRT file into my project. The same edited clip is now on my timeline. I can see the frame rate for the SRT is different from the sequence, so I'll just change that. Then I just need to drop the SRT onto the sequence. My captions are created automatically, but obviously they're too small. This is a problem with Premiere. It's got nothing to do with Type Studio. But the solution is simple. You just step into the caption editor, select all the captions, and then change the font size to something more suitable. You then just reposition the caption layer under Effects Controls to center it. So just done the setup for a little corporate filming which I've got on today. Let me walk you through what we've got going on here. So camera one, my workhorse for this sort of thing, the JVC GY LS300. As mentioned, there are errors with the text you need to correct, but that can be done in the caption editor, where you can also retime the captions if you wish. But even factoring in the time needed for proofing and correcting, the fact that the video has been transcribed automatically and the SRT exported from Type Studio is a huge time saver. Let's look briefly at the accuracy of the transcripts created by Type Studio and compare that to Otter.ai and Descript. To do that, I used a 30-second video, again a talking head, and uploaded them to each service. Otter.ai is the provider I currently use. During previous research, I found this produced the most accurate transcripts and think it offers very good value. So I recently paid for an annual subscription. When I uploaded the clip to Descript, I noticed something for the first time. You can actually edit video or audio using the transcript, pretty much just the same as Type Studio. I hadn't noticed this before because, as I explained, I would not need to use any of these services to edit video. I'm just interested in transcription and subtitles. When it came to exporting the edited clip though, I found the quality of the exported video was poor, despite the fact I'd chosen the high quality setting. Also, there's no hosting option for the video. By contrast, I compared the standard of the exported video produced by Type Studio. Despite not having any options to choose quality as far as I can see, the default is actually far superior to what Descript created. A quick look at the data rate of the two clips shows the Type Studio clip is in fact much higher. It's generally better to have the highest quality possible. You can always reduce quality later if needed. You can never add quality that's already been sacrificed. Returning to the accuracy of transcripts, to judge this, I simply downloaded a text file for each transcript and put these in a Google Doc. I then went through each transcript and marked what I'd describe as obvious errors. So I ignored a failure to put in capitals, for example. I highlighted the mistakes and totaled them up. For Type Studio, I found 7 errors. For Otter and Descript, 3 each. So based on this brief test, Type Studio is less accurate than the other two, and that makes sense to me. Both other sites really do focus on transcription as their core offer, and accuracy is really important. Type Studio is more gearing itself as a video editor. However, I'd still say the accuracy it provides is acceptable. Finally, let's look at the pricing structure of Type Studio. The free version limits you to 20 minutes per month of uploads. Also, remember you cannot export SRT files with the free version. Moving on to the Pro version, as normal with these sorts of subscriptions, there's a discount on offer if you make an annual commitment as opposed to the rolling monthly contract. So, at the time of this review, it's $11 per month based on an annual commitment and $14 a month going month to month. You'll get 10 hours of video uploads under this plan. Comparing prices to Otter.ai, there's also a free version there allowing up to 600 minutes per month. However, again, you can't export SRTs without stepping up to the paid version. By the way, I think this is completely reasonable. The Pro Otter plan is cheaper, but remember you cannot edit video within Otter.ai, though you can export audio as well as text. Finally, Descript also offers a free version which is quite generous in that it allows you to export SRT files. However, there's a finite 3 hours of transcription available which will not renew unless you move to a paid version. The basic paid version is comparable to Type Studio. As noted, you can edit video in Descript, but from what I saw, the quality of exported video is inferior to that exported from Type Studio. However, upon reflection, this could be due to the fact that I was using the free version of Descript. Reading the spec more carefully, I think the export quality may improve if I were to upgrade to a paid plan. For Type Studio, I've been given access to a Pro account, so this may not be comparing like with like. So where does that leave us? Well, it's pretty clear that the absolute driving fundamental principle that this product or service has been built on is a determination to keep the entire process as simple as possible when it comes to video editing. And in that, Type Studio absolutely succeeds. It is incredibly simple to kind of use, pick up, and get some very basic video editing done. It's aimed squarely at people who have no interest or time or desire to learn the very basics of video editing. I do disagree with Type Studio in one of the statements that they make, where they claim that the interface for non-linear editing software is just so counterintuitive. It effectively acts as a barrier to entry to too many people. Yes, to create sophisticated video edits is a skill, and you're going to need to practice, and you can't expect to do that straight off the bat. But in terms of the working with the interface, we're not talking about creating sophisticated edits with this. We're talking essentially about marking an in and marking an out, and then a ripple delete to extract what we don't want within the little video sequence. So essentially we're talking about 3 keystrokes, aren't we, before we export a sequence, which I would say anyone could sit down and learn how to do with any video editing software that they happen to have access to. However, there are obviously people who take a different view, and for those people that's absolutely fine, and I do think then that they could well find things of interest, things of appeal within Type Studio. Simplicity. This really is incredibly easy to work with. Accuracy. From my brief testing, the transcription accuracy is acceptable, especially when you remember that every transcript from any platform needs to be proofread and corrected. Subtitle generation. If you post clips with dialogue, they need captions, and Type Studio allows you to integrate the process in a one-stop shop. Export video quality. This seemed acceptable quality for me. A free version. For people who may produce only a clip or 2 a month, 20 minutes will be adequate, and the free version does everything you need without a watermark. So those are some of the advantages of Type Studio. What about the disadvantages? Well, for me, there's only really one, I guess, but it is absolutely fundamental in my opinion, and that is the massive restriction in video editing possibilities. This is really video editing in name only. You can't introduce footage that isn't part of the same clip. You can't overlay footage. You can't add audio or graphics. You can't do a whole world of things. You can only really remove little sections of footage from within the same clip. Compared to even the most basic non-linear video editing software that you could get bundled with a new computer, for example, the functionality on offer within Type Studio is like night and day. I would compare it perhaps to stepping into a car and only having one gear and not even a reverse gear. So you put it into first and you can't go any faster than that, and you can't even go backwards. So it's kind of looks like a car, but it's not really driving, is it? However, quite separate to the video editing functionality, or lack thereof, perhaps better said, the ability to generate a transcript and captions using Type Studio is very welcome indeed. If you do post clips on social media, again, I cannot stress this enough, they should be presented with captions as at least an option. Having said that, it is absolutely a chore to manually transcribe videos, certainly of anything of any sort of length. Once it gets past 30 seconds, it really does become a time sink. So any way that you can make that process more efficient is absolutely to be encouraged. So in summary, Type Studio as a video editing resource, not really an option for me, but we knew that from the outset. Subtitling, transcription, definitely worth considering if you don't have that already covered. And that's about it for this clip. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something along the way. If you did, a like would be fantastic. If you've got any comments, any questions, I will try my best to answer them in the comments down below. Any suggestions you might have for any other service providers that are worth taking a look at, please feel free to stick them in that section as well. And if you're just interested in creating better content, well, consider subscribing, because that's what this channel is all about. Thanks a lot for watching.